see a conspiracy been fooling me when I watch TV. They're manufactured views all over the news. It's giving me the blues, and it's time to choose. Starting to wake up from this sleep, from all the lies they spread that run so deep. But I will lace no more. Who are they fighting for? It isn't me. But now I see there is a new world order, but we're not invited. So much blood and murder from the drones unsighted. World War III is haunting me. I got to find a way to save my family. The human race has lost its way. We put our trust in science, but it's us who pay. Used to be civilized, but we've been compromised. We're on a one-way train. We've got to break this chain. Starting to see that we should be free. The powers that be want a piece of me. Should I do what they say or tell them go away? What is the price for freedom? 'Cause it sure ain't free. The time has come to raise the bar. There'll be nowhere to hide if there's a third world war. So let your voice be heard and let your heart decide to stand and fight for freedom while you've still got time. Wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up. Stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up. Wake up, wake up. The time has come to fight. Wake up, wake up. Don't waste another night. Stand up. What are you waiting for? Stand up, stand up. Offer's gonna soon be at your door. Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News, our Monday edition. It's the 13th of May, 2019, and you'll be glad to know that we are live. We're live, we're streaming, we're here. This is the first of this week's show. I'm going to try and get a few shows in this week because I want to try and make the best of Adi while he's still here, because next week he's going to be going away for a couple of 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, nearly a month. So he's going to be away from me. So I'm utilising him well. Good evening, Adi. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thanks. How are you?
I'm awesome, mate. I'm feeling really good. The best. It's crazy. Crazy weekend, crazy week. It's crazy everything. Everywhere's crazy. This is our crazy things. Yesterday I bought a newspaper. The first time that I bought this newspaper, I bought it because I wanted to have a quick look through it. By the way, the son, if you're watching, you still owe me 20 grand. So can you just send it by a check to my address? I'm sure you'll be able to find it somewhere using your crack reporters. That was crack, the word, the term that I used there, rather than crap. How's your weekend been, mate? All right?
Yeah, good. I went to see the cardio bloke on Friday and he took me off nearly all my tablets. So, and by this weekend coming, I'll be off all my tablets and fine and dandy. So
awesome. And have you enjoyed your weekend?
Yeah. It was good. Getting my suitcase out the loft, all the usual stuff.
Well, but I've noticed as well, Jeremy Kyle thing. The Jeremy Kyle show's in a huge mess. Have you heard about that today?
No. What's this? Tell me.
Well, apparently this morning it wasn't on, and the reason it wasn't on is because all Jeremy Kyle's recordings and all shows have all been pulled. They've even been pulled off the ITV hub now. Apparently, the reason given is that somebody who was on last week died suddenly. Weekend, and I think it must be related, whether they've thrown a 7 or someone's killed him or something like that. But something serious has obviously happened, and they've pulled the whole show. So hopefully that will be forever, and nobody will have to encounter that anymore.
No, I hadn't heard of that. But then again, I don't watch the news and I don't read newspapers. So
No, this is true. Yeah,
Which is why we need guests, because me and you know nothing about anything.
Which is right, and we've got some tonight. We've got some great guests. We've been on before. We've had these guys on before. I'm sure you've seen them on Facebook. They have a little organisation they call Unite Planet. They've been on Raconteurs News before. I'm getting feedback, AD. I think it must be from you because you're the only one that's not muted. I'm just getting a little bit of feedback.
Do you want me to turn me? Hang on a minute. I'll turn my speakers down if that's any good.
Yeah, just turn them. Just knock them down a bit.
You've not left it in studio, have you?
Let me just check. I don't think I have. Now, is it? How is it now?
Well, I'm fine. I can hear you. And how's that?
Right. Okay. Well, it's definitely in voice. I've just checked it. But anyway, we've got some great guests on this evening. Been on Raconteurs News before, so well, at least two of them have anyway. So not Raconteurs News virgins, but there is a third member, and I do believe a fourth member of Unite Planet. So good evening, chaps. You're going to have to unmute your mics because I've muted you while we did the intro. So if you unmute your mics, good evening to Johnny, to Paul, hello, and to Bernie. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
How are you doing, fellas?
All right.
All right.
I think Bernie's still...
I'm trying to... well, he should be able to unmute himself. If not, I'll do it for him. Let me just get the thing on here. Have we got that? Unmute. I'm brilliant at this, mate. Oh, which one it is? It's definitely.
Gone, is it? I've pressed something by accident.
Bernie, good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, mate. Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah. Smash it.
Can you hear Bernie?
We can hear Bernie. Yeah. Can you hear Bernie?
We can't hear Bernie. Oh God.
Say something, Bernie.
Hello, how are you doing?
I can hear that. Everybody else hear that?
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah.
Yep, I can hear myself.
What about you two, Paul and Johnny? You can't hear him?
No.
Oh, man.
I can hear them.
Well, let's go.
He can hear you, and he can hear me, and he can hear Ada, but you can't hear him. Wow. Weird. Some cameras going off and mics going on and off everywhere. Let's see if we can...
it's a great start, isn't it?
It's a great start, isn't it?
Shall I come off and then go back on again?
I don't know if that's going to work. I mean, we can all hear you. It's just Johnny and Paul that are having the problem with it. So
I don't know where my picture's gone.
Your picture. Let's put you on. Is that you there? That's them. And I can put you on as well. Oh, I can't put you on. You have to put you'll have to put your own camera on because yours is not on, Bernie.
Oh. His Bernie's not on.
Ah, right, okay. I can't do your video because because you're on a mobile device. Anyway, Raconteurs News. We've got Unite Planet guys on. We've got Paul and Johnny over there in Derbyshire and in Birmingham. Bernie from Birmingham. It sounds like Cilla Black, don't it? It's Birmingham. Yeah. So
there he is.
Let's.
There we go. I'm back on.
Can you hear him now, Johnny and Paul?
We can see him.
Can you hear me? Off.
Don't worry.
Bernie, can you? Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Can't hear you.
All good.
We can't hear you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's all good.
Okay.
I can hear you.
This was all working brilliantly until you press the go live button. Jason, let's start it off talking to Johnny and Paul and see where he goes from there.
Yeah, Johnny and Paul. So last time you were on, just give some idea about Unite Planet and what your aims are to do and what sort of things that you get involved in and stuff. Just for anybody that's not seen you before.
Well, basically, as the title basically of our well, whatever it is, Unite Planet is basically to try and help people to unite rather than fighting each other. We don't like the idea of divide and rule, divide and conquer, and it's about uniting it. So trying to like not argue so much, but more to join. I mean, obviously people are going to argue, but less to agree to disagree kind of thing, but keep it friendly.
More bringing alternative information to people, but also highlighting the best of humanity rather than the worst, because we always seem to get the worst of humanity in mainstream news. They always tell us how horrible we are. So let's show instead how great we can be.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What sort of things do you do? I mean, on a practical level, what sort of things do you do? I know I saw you at the UFO conference at Holmfirth back then, so I know you get out and about and stuff. So what sort of stuff are you what you got lined up, and what have you done in the past?
Well, past. Well, we kind of started off, as we still do now. We interview people, researchers, and people who've got interesting stories, had interesting experiences that can tell us more about ourselves as well as the world. So we've been interviewing a lot of people like that, and which we obviously will continue to. We started off just doing that. We've kind of making more informative videos now. Instead of just doing interviews, we're looking at doing more things that incorporate a lot more aspects of different subjects into video, like a documentary style. Sometimes we're doing a bit of that as well.
Oh, cool! And I've seen you've got there's quite a few. Who's the most interesting people that you've been speaking to?
God, well, they all
So many.
in their own way, you know.
Yeah.
Us. Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course.
And yourself.
The question should have been, other than us, who have been the most interesting people you've spoken to?
Naturally.
Yeah.
But we've seen a lot of that, haven't we? There's a lot of divisiveness at the moment, and people pitted against each other that perhaps really shouldn't be pitted against each other. You know that it seems that every single faction, even now, we've got a consensus on Brexit, and most people do want to leave, as demonstrated in the vote. But now we've sort of it's all been fractured. So you've got UKIP, then you've got this new Brexit party that Farage has brought out, and it's all seems to be fracturing, and that seems to be the name of the game. And what you're doing is trying to dispel that sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, we're kind of doing the opposite approach to what mainstream do. You know, that, like you say, they're using their side to fracture things, but we're doing the opposite. We're coming from the opposite direction. You know, saying that we are all the same. We all come from the same source, and there's all this fracturing that we see in mainstream it's all a game. You know.
Yeah. It's a bit like the People's Front of Judea, and
yeah.
It just is exactly that, isn't it? And if all these people want the same thing, well, bloody get together then.
Yeah.
But everyone has their own little petty arguments and everything, don't they? And it seems that egos do tend to get in the way in all walks of life, not just this sort of thing. I mean, it's just a fact of life that you're going to get people with egos who can't let things go. I mean, on here we've had opposing views from different people, and I think we've been able to conduct the interviews in such a way as to so people can get their point of view across, and in a respectful way as well, which is really our raison d'etre. We really try to do that. And Bernie, let's go on to you. How did you get involved? How did you find out about Unite Planting? How did you get involved?
I was a member of Birmingham UFO group, BUFO.
Yep.
And I've seen the lads at the Holmfirth conference. I'd give them a wave. And then they came to Bufog. We had a crack on, and them two are like Morecambe and Wise, aren't they? You know, what can't you love about them? So straight away we just clicked. Well, I'm the loud one. I'm like the fella in the cupboard that nobody gets let out, you know, because I just rabbit. So they loved it. They're like really polite about everything. I just get straight to the point. You know, I put them on the spot with whoever we're interviewing. I just cut through the crap. If you say you can do something, show me. You know, back up your support your argument. So they asked me to come on board, and we had a little chat. And what I don't want to do is I didn't want it to become where we just give somebody a platform to put their agenda out. I like the idea of breaking it down and explain it. And if there's holes in it, I want you to explain it. You know, I don't want to let people off lightly. There's enough charlatans in this whole. The whole thing's a game, innit? You know, TV's a game. I'm not one for propaganda. I'm not one. I understand what it is. It's all by design, and I don't play the game. So there's a whole thing out there, you know.
So your initial interest was in UFOs, which I know the boys are into as well.
Yeah.
It's all by design, and I don't play the game, so. Right. So what I'm playing.
Who's got YouTube playing?
Sorry. We're trying to hear what he's saying.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
It's just it's coming all the way back through. He was just saying that he met you at Boothon, the Birmingham UFO Network. That's what it stands for. I've not had any dealings with Boothon myself, but I am aware of them. And that he's. I don't know whether it's going to be worth us trying to disconnect.
I was just going to say, why don't you play like 20 seconds of a record or something, Jason?
Not headphones.
Get these to drop the call and then drop back on again.
No, don't worry.
Okay, all right.
There's other ways around it. Don't worry.
Onto this, eh?
Yeah.
But you're going to hear what he says about 10 seconds after.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's better than nothing.
Well, yes.
Is that Vienna? Is that Vienna? Have you got the results?
So go on, Bernie.
I'm doing it. I'm doing my bit. That's it. I'm here all week. Hello.
Right.
Yes,
so I've got a question for whichever one of the three of you wants to answer it. Really.
Okay.
Bernie says he likes to when somebody makes a statement, he likes to nail them and strip it all back and say, well, substantiate your argument, which is cool. I like that. You are right. There are a lot of charlatans. There's a lot of people who are in this for the wrong reasons. What do you do? Do you do what we do and put stuff out on YouTube? Do you pre-record it? Do you go out in the field with a microphone and stick it in people's faces? Do you get guests on like we do? What's your approach? How do you do it?
Go on. Well, we try and we bring on in guests and we want to hear their points of view, and this is part of the reason why we brought Bernie into it, because he's a lot more outspoken than we are. We all kind of agree on we're on the same page, but me and Paul are a bit more polite, aren't we? But Bernie, he will challenge, and he'll say what we're all thinking, really. So it's great to have Bernie on board doing that. It's like the missing piece of the jigsaw almost, and you're not planning how we approach guests and how we go about things,
It is good to have somebody like that. You are, if you are of that sort of disposition where you're perhaps a little bit too polite.
See, Jason and I don't have that issue.
No, but have you had people on and you thought, because I know I've been sat here we've been sitting here for 3 years and interviewing people and doing stuff. Has there ever been a time when somebody's been telling the story and you've just sat there and thought, bollocks?
Not so much that. I mean, there's been aspects where
all hell yeah.
They've been talking about an particular subject, and we've not kind of agreed with them, but as a whole, we usually vet our interviews, don't we, with people that we know and that we're already in agreement with by and large. But even though saying that, we have spoken to people and had guests on where certain aspects we've not agreed with, but that's their opinion, And with me and Paul, of course, we're too polite. We won't pull up on it or won't challenge it. Bernie's the man who'll do that. He's great at that, And this is why it works so well. This is why only one reason why Bernie's in is many reasons why we brought Bernie in. He's on the same page, no ego, but he's got just a great way about him that that we resonate with, and
very funny.
yeah, he's got a great humour as well. It's great humour. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
You're only saying that because he can't hear you.
Oh, I heard every
We
word.
can't hear him.
Yeah, we
Seriously,
So
I can't hear me.
So are you looking at growing a big organisation, or are you looking at people just, as hopefully people do with our stuff, just dropping in and looking at it and taking from it what they will? What's the way you want to go with Unite Planet?
Conferences. We definitely want to do a conference, get some guest speakers on, and try and get as many people, bums on seats, trying to, listen to the guest speakers, and like we saw at UFO Truth, something like that. We good, but different subjects though, maybe like UFOs to 9/11 to spirituality or whatever. Really, just different topics. Really, not necessarily just one. One area.
Yeah, you want to cover a lot of areas. I mean, that's the thing. You can get stuck in one area, and particularly with the UFO stuff. For me, that's the stuff where I believe I know enough of from what I've gathered myself, and they don't ever seem to be any new stuff, and there's a lot of infighting at the UFOs as well.
Yeah.
The UFO conference as well. I mean, has that simmered down? Because it was a frenzy at one point, really. Has that simmered down? Well, I'll go Bernie first on that one. Bernie.
No, well, you've got two camps, haven't you? You're either pro Larry Warren or against him, and that's split in the. I don't pick a side. I don't want to pick a side. I'd happily get on with everybody. Show me all the evidence, and I'll make up my own mind. If I think you're full of shit, I'll remember everything, and then somewhere down the line, I'll catch you out for when you change your story. That's the only way to do it, isn't it? I'll treat everyone face value. My thoughts on Larry Warren. I like the guy. He's a personable guy, but I think he's changed his story over the years. Yeah, do I know the truth? No, because I wasn't there. I'm not going to pick a side, though. I don't. It's bigger than that, but it's like with everything. If the UFO group, they all join together, there'd be a powerful thing. The same you were talking about Brexit. If everybody just realised we aren't the enemy.
No,
the government's the enemy.
The government are not your friend.
That's right. Your government want to kill you. The sharper you realise that, the better.
Yeah.
They ain't looking out for your interests. But what happens is we have these little groups, and we all want our own to be the boss of this and that. So I don't buy it. I don't play it. I don't play them games. It took a while to realise it, but once you realise it, you know your own truth. If you might, with the UFO things, I've had my own vision. I've had my own experiences and stuff with the different dimensions. The whole what's this reality about? So I've got my own handle on where I'm at, and that's it. Like I say, I'd love everybody to just crack on, and I don't give a shit what colour you are, what religion. There's idiots every colour. So if you can help and not play the game, then you're laughing, aren't you? You can work it out for yourself.
Bernie, I'm completely ignorant and unassociated in any way with anything UFO. Right. I don't believe, I don't disbelieve. I've got a couple of very, very good friends who have told me, not voluntarily, but extremely detailed and convincing stories about what happened to them. Not about what happened to somebody's friend who they knew, but what happened to them. That's the only thing that I've ever had to do with UFO or anything like that. My own personal thought is, and it can only be that because I've not had any influence from anywhere else, what they're saying, because I know them, I can't disbelieve because of who it is that's saying it to me.
Yeah.
However, when you get a situation where, I don't know, take stealth bomber, that had existed for 20 years before they admitted it that it existed.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's a lot of unidentified stuff that goes on that is from our military or the American military or whatever.
Absolutely.
But
Without a
my
doubt.
other thought is, what a fucking great bogeyman for the governments of the world, and what a great way of getting a one world government. You know, to give us some kind of fucking bullshit about somebody coming from with big laser guns to kill us all. So we must have a one world government to fight them off. You know, and they'll just create this bogeyman that may not exist in that form, but is created by the American government or whatever. And the idea is that it's there to get us all to agree to another Iraq war. Only this time, it's against something from in the sky. And oh well, really, they didn't have any weapons of mass destruction.
But that's part of the plan, isn't it? If you believe in the New World Order,
yep,
that's the next thing. The alien attack. That's the cream on the cake, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, whether
you
part
think
alien, part alien tech.
Yep.
Holographic. You know,
Yep.
if we believe, well, my own personal view, 9/11, no planes, holographic. Okay, so if they had the balls to do that 19 years ago or 18 years ago and laid out to the whole world and convinced everybody to a man who watched it, imagine what they've perfected by now.
Oh God,
You know,
yeah.
and when they do roll it out, and when you do see it in the skies, you're not going to know your ass from your elbow. You weren't going to know if it's real.
No.
So,
No, of course not. You don't know if, and we've been brought up in a world where we are accepting of things that clearly aren't real. You know, they're
Totally.
clearly not real. That a politician is going to, when he tells you what he's going to do after he's been elected, it's clear he's not going to do it. You know that.
Yep.
It's clear, but we live in a world where that seems to be accepted. The exact opposite is accepted. So if they say, you know, if there is I think they were Operation Bluebeam, where it's something like that,
Right.
that were muted about. Then I mean, do we? I'll go to you as well, Paul and Johnny, on this one as well. Do you think that that's a viable option for them in the end game?
Well, it's been mentioned a lot, hasn't it? The last false flag is going to be, you know, the alien invasion. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Bernie's point. We couldn't hear him, could we? We couldn't hear any of that. But yeah, I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean,
I do feel that obviously there was one leak report about obviously they're going to do one big attack. 9/11 happened, and I think steps. Yeah, I think they can do this. I think they've got the technology to do, like say, holograms. Because I think the planes in 9/11 was holograms from our.
Yeah, but Bernie mentioned holograms in 9/11. Yeah. So imagine one of Bernie's points was imagine what they've got now. If that was 2001, imagine the technology now. I mean, the way that it's come on in leaps and bounds, even in stuff that's been released, is incredible. So a mobile phone from 2001. It's a little bit like the Apollo moon rocket versus I don't one of these Elon Musk pretend things that he does, where he does a CGI and pretends it's a real rocket. That's another thing we'll get into. Listen, let me just tell everybody you're listening to Raconteurs News on this Monday night. It's the 13th of May. Myself and Adi are with you, and we've got our guests, Johnny and Paul and Bernie. They are from Unite Planet. Go and find that on Facebook. Unite Planet, it's called. Go over there, have a good old like and stick, and also these ones, these organizations that are not huge, these are the ones that really need to be supported, because as somebody, I mean, we're only really small, but it it does sometimes get to you. It does sometimes get to you, and there are there are aspects. So go and support if you can find them. That is, because we know what it's like on social media and YouTube at the moment. I mean, everything's just a complete and utter farce. But anyway, yeah, go and find them on Facebook, Unite Planet. Let's say hello to some people in the chat room. Ron's in there. He had a mobile back in 1998. His first one, he says. I think I had one about 1995.
Jason, can you imagine if we'd have all had? Well, we all walk around with one of these, and it's got a camera and a video camera on it. Can you imagine if we'd all got one of those on 9/11?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, what would have come out as the bullshit and the truth, and they would have had a much more difficult job trying to convict. Because all of a sudden, all these. All this new footage would be emerging even now, 19, 20, 25 years later, they'd still be coming up with new footage that somebody had found on a memory card. But of course, we didn't have that then, so they were in control.
Yeah, loaded. There were plenty of footage of 9/11. Mobile phones, 1968, says Tony. He had one, a mobile phone. Says when he were a wean, he says Stuart Crossland's in there.
He's not from Glasgow, is he?
Is what?
Is he from Glasgow?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I probably should know, but I don't. Denny's in there. Steve Owens, Stewie as well, who sent me a message. I will send you an email, Stewie, and we will get that set up. We'll go and have a pint. We're going to have a pint somewhere. In fact, with anybody who's about, I might do it like so. Me and Adi will go to a pub. If we let you know we're going to be there, and we'll meet up with Stewie. And if anybody else wants to come along, then they're quite welcome to. Alan McVicker as well. So we've got a decent mob in the chat room tonight with us. And I just don't. Well, I don't know. Which way you want to go? I mean, we've been talking about UFOs, and we touched a little bit on NASA and stuff like that. I mean, what's your take on NASA? What do you think? I'll go to Johnny and Paul first. What's your take on NASA? Do you buy it? I mean, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
I think it's basically. I think it's a front or a cover to the secret space program. I think what they're presenting is just a screen to hide what the real secret space program is. All the technology is not with NASA. They're putting up a front, and they're saying to, well, this is where we are with rocket. I mean, rocket technology. It's not advanced since the 50s.
So, it's a bit like cancer treatment, isn't it?
Yeah.
All that money, but fuck all news happened.
Exactly. Yeah, and the people at large don't ask the right questions. I mean, the communications technology, like we mentioned, mobile phones and AI, the progression of that, you compare that to the rocket technology in NASA, and it's the progression totally different. It's chalk and cheese.
They go backwards because
Exactly. Yeah.
The what? Sorry.
They lost apparently they had technology to go to the moon in 1960s, but they haven't got the technology now to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you believe man's been to the moon, or?
Well.
No, not with rocket technology, at least.
Yeah. Do you believe that the moon is where we're told it is?
Well, that's an whole question. I mean, there are strange things about the moon. The way it's positioned is exact, so it covers the sun exactly. The way it's positioned and everything like that. I don't know. And there's all this talk of it in hollow. These experiments these Russians did. They landed. They made it sound like a bell. The third was hollow, and there's all these kind of things. I don't know. It's.
You see, when we talk about money, I can prove to you, because of fractional reserve lending, that money don't exist.
Yeah.
Between us, we could get together and prove that. Call it the Illuminati. I call it the 13 families. Whatever. There's a tiny number of people rule the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can almost get together and absolutely nail it and say. This is true. The fact that you lot out there don't want to hear it because you spent 12 years at school being indoctrinated ain't our fault. This is what we're trying to tell you. But when it comes to, is it flat? Is it domed? Is it round? How big is it? What's the sun? How far away is it? Is the moon made of cheese? And was there an Australian man stood upside down on the dark side? We don't know because we've never been. Me and you have never been up there to have a look.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with that sort of stuff. It's all opinion based on somebody else's idea of what science is and what mathematics and what physics they want to come up with. And I think that's the big issue about stuff like the UFO stuff. And I think that's why that's the biggest weapon they'll ever use against us. They being the government, or, well, it's not the government. They're not in charge of anything. Fucking hell. You know when people say to you, oh, well, you know, the government are in charge, you just say, excuse me, did you not fucking look at George Bush? If you think that man was in charge of fucking wiping his arse, then you're mistaken. Because so the governments aren't in. The government ain't your friend because they're the puppets of the people, and we can prove all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
But the thing with the UFO thing and the flat Earth, and I think that is going to be the masterstroke that they're going to use against us.
Yeah.
What about you, Bernie? Go on. What's your take on the moon landing? I think you were referring to the fact that they haven't got the technology, and I think there's a famous clip where there's some guy there from NASA, and he says, "I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond."
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we haven't got the technology anymore. We used to have it, but we destroyed it. And you think you can't back engineer anything or think of new ways to do it. It's just an absolutely ridiculous thing. And we're supposed to believe that these are the cleverest people on the fucking planet. And they're going, oh, we could do it. Yes, them before us, as dads could do it, but we can't. You know, it is a ridiculous statement. What's your take on it, Bernie?
Well, it'd be like burning your wedding photos, wouldn't it? You know, you just wouldn't do it. It's supposed to be the crowning achievement of human invention that we got to the moon. But all the original footage had to be taped over because they needed to recycle the tapes. What a crock of shite, right? The same thing as 9/11. They controlled every single part of it, right? Like, sorry, I forgot your other name, the other guy.
Aid,
sorry. We've never been there, so we don't know. We're watching it from a screen. So when people do the critical viewing of every single image and they're trying to find anomalies, that's the only way they can be found out. That's why it drives the flat earthers insane, because you can see the green screens on some of the NASA footage. You can see bubbles. Makes you think this is being filmed in a water tank.
Mm-hmm.
So people that believe the Earth's flat, you're giving them as much fuel as you want, you know. So you can't argue with that. You can't, because you know that NASA are lying. It's a front, like Johnny said. It's a front for the deep state, for the secret space program, whatever's going on behind the scenes that we're not meant to know. We will get to know when they want us to know. There's a plan, and they reel it out in stages. It's been written for however long, 60 year, 80 year, whatever this plan is. And it comes out, they control every single aspect of it. The telling thing about the moon landings was when the other cameras, the special Hasselblad camera.
That's right.
Hasselblad camera, a Dutch guy created it especially for it. One, all the images are perfectly centered. And he went, how did they do that? The thumb itself on the glove is like an inch thick. He says, how would you even have any concept of how you were pressing it? He says, but also the crosshairs on the photos are behind images. He said it's in, when the guy asked him, he said, how is that possible? He went, I don't know. I made the camera. I don't know how the crosshairs. Well, we know because the images were doctored. You know, there's that much footage of it. There's certain landscapes that come up time and time again. The three fellas, well, you know, when they came back, and they sat there squirming on the seats when they got interviewed 2 weeks after they come out the pressurized chamber. And it was like, what was the moon like? And they're looking around at each other. Shit, who wants to go first?
Yeah.
You've been to the moon. You're king of the hill. What the hell? You're getting any bird you want for the rest of your life. You Buzz Lightyear. They were doing it with her. They were sat there like shit in the pants that they were going to say the wrong thing. They never went. You certainly wouldn't lose the technology. That's it. You know, like Johnny said, rocket technology. Do I think they're going? Do I think that we've got alien technology? Yeah, I think we've had it since Roswell. I think there's been a pact with the aliens, which pretty much goes along with a lot of ufology thinking. That at a point, Eisenhower or the deep state, the dark state, whatever you want to call them, made a deal, and that's why there's been so many abductions. Do what you want for their alien program, the hybrid program, or whatever the alien agenda is, and they've militarized it, haven't they? So whatever we're saying out there, but I saw something about a month back at Silbury Hill. A friend of mine who's an abductee, I won't say his name because it doesn't matter, but I know him, and he said if you ever go to Silbury Hill, set up your cameras and film for 10 minutes. He said, and then go home, slow down the footage. He said these things are zipping around at thousands of miles an hour. So I took a load of photos of the sky, and when I had a look, I caught an orb, like a silver ball. I don't know how close it is. I don't know how big it is, but it's there when I put the filters on. It's a solid thing. I've caught a few in the sky. I've seen stuff, and like Aid was saying, when your friends talk to you and they tell you what's happened to them, these fellas don't want to make money. They don't want to be famous. They're not doing it for this guy. Look how cool he is. It's a thing that's happening to people, and they just want to be heard. They want some sort of, all right, mate, it's okay, we get it. We believe you. Because a lot of these people are stuck in relationships where they wake up after they've been on some ship, and then they roll over and they say to their missus, you never guess, and they just shut you down. I don't want to hear this. It must be torment. So it's fascinating, the whole UFO thing. Will we ever get the truth? I think we've already got the truth. The disclosure's already happening. The disclosure's always happened.
Oh,
People
in
think
plain sight.
they go the White House lawn. That'll never happen because it's not in our interests.
No.
They'll do it when they want it to do it.
Yeah.
But what's happening now is you ask your kid to draw a photo of an alien, a picture of an alien. It's a grey. It's in our psyche. It's in our subconscious. We know it. And so therefore, that is the disclosure. That's what I think. That is the disclosure.
I think the only thing we can ever be sure of, and it doesn't matter whether it's UFOs, aliens, 9/11, Boston bombing, fucking perm anyone from 10. The only thing that we do know is that what the government is telling us is bullshit.
Yep.
What the actual truth is, don't know. We've all got our own lots of different ideas, but the only thing we can be sure of is whatever they're telling us is probably a pile of shit with the truth hidden in plain sight somewhere in there.
That's it. Yeah. There's a big pile of shit, and then you rip through it and you find little nuggets of truth in it.
Yeah.
It's getting your hands dirty, though, isn't it?
Bernie, here's one. I'm a complete kind of UFO neutral. Absolutely complete.
Yeah.
What do you think that anything that lives on a different planet could ever learn from a bunch of thick fuckers like us? Other than how to get it wrong and not to do it. Because everything we do, we fuck up.
I don't know. I think we're human, aren't we? This is what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
We're playing the game. This is what we do. A lot of people think we're a warlike species. I don't think we are. I think we're a loving, like this, unite. I would much rather have a chat and have a pint with people and have a crack on with people than punch everybody. What's happened is the way society has been molded. Thatcher started it when she said, sod your neighbours, look after yourself. Right? Yeah. The breakdown of society, right? It was hijacked and it's just been piled on and piled on and piled on. But people, I do believe people are waking up now and realising, love's the answer. Love, be kind. If you've got food, give it to your neighbour. Make sure they're all right. Yeah. If you've got too much stuff, you never make yourself happy buying yourself another car.
No, of course.
It's that simple. So
yeah, you can't drive yourself to crematorium, can you?
No, that's right. It's all them cliches, isn't it? Nobody remembers how how expensive your watch was. You know, they remember you as a human being, don't they?
Yeah.
You might be able to drive yourself to the crematorium, especially if one of them driverless hearses come into Google hearses, and to drive you'll be able to self-service thing. I mean, there's £3,800. Where am I supposed to find that? That's the average price of a funeral these days. They'll be able to slash that down. No, they'll just be able to. It'll be like a tipper hearse.
Do you mind? I used to be the sales manager for that insurance company. No, I really did. Royal London, it's the only 5-star de facto they've ever given,
Oh, yeah. Oh, do you know, it's just, it drives me up the wall, with someone being sat in here all day a lot, oftentimes with just watching TV and stuff. And when I've been recuperating over this last year since me up and that, it's just been driving me up the fucking wall. And you know what the new one is now? There's this one where she goes, it's June, Dad, and it's June from next door, and she's brought a letter. It's obvious that this old boy and this June he's knocking a slice off her. Obviously, she's making any excuse. She's come round and said, "Oh, this got delivered to our house by mistake. Oh, it must be my over 50s plan, right?" And they do that, and we've seen the ads on TV with Parky. That's what it used to be, but I think Parky's withdrew his consent now for that. So now it just says on TV. And now, right, this same series, he goes round with his parsnips in one other advert, and talks about his missus making parsnip jam, and there's obvious what's going on between these.
It's just bollocks, isn't it?
You can almost see the smoke coming off her slippers. It is that hot and intense with this. Now this bloke, right? He appears on a thing, and he talks to a different woman. He says, and she's just come back from a funeral, and she goes, I've just come back from so-and-so's funeral. Oh, it's very sad, but, it was a lovely service, and it was mostly paid for by her over 50s plan. And he said, over 50s plan? I've got a couple of those. So now, get multiple ones out. Take out multiple funeral plans. I mean, it's ridiculous. One for my funeral and one for a gift. I mean, ridiculous. This is just... right.
I'll get one free.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, Paul, and Bernie probably don't know. My background was a financial advisor for a couple of decades or so, and I also then worked in advertising. Now, the first insurance company ever to advertise on television was a company that I worked for. Now, I didn't work for them at the time. It's called Refuge Assurance. They ended up merging with United Friendly and then with Royal London, which is how by default I ended up working with Royal London. Now, here's the cheesy advert. There was a family throwing a beach ball on a beach to each other, and just before the beach ball got to him, he went pop and disappeared. Not the ball, the bloke. And then it was, how would you manage if your husband wasn't there to look after you and your children?
Oh.
Now, these fucking adverts have gone nowhere in 30 years because now it's June, Dad, from next door.
Yeah, you know what it'll be next, don't you? Next, it'll be the adverts will move on, and it'll be somebody's died, and there'll be a funeral, right? And there'll be two people stood at the side of each other, and one's like with his pockets hanging out with no in them because he's paid all this money for a funeral, and somebody will say, "Have you paid for the funeral?" And he'll go, "Yeah." He said, "The fucking tight cunt didn't even have a 50s plan." And then it will be, if you don't want your relatives to hate you after you're dead, then you better get yourself an over 50s plan, haven't you? I mean,
I've thought of a question for the guys.
Go on, you go for it.
And this is something I have thought about in the past, and I've had a couple of people suggest certainly the same sort of thing to me. And that is that, as far as I know, we're the only species on this, let's for argument's sake call it a planet. We're the only one that don't live in harmony with our surroundings. We're the ones who destroy it, turn it into plastic bags, leave it all over a beach. We're the ones who, well, like locusts, we use it and then move on to the next thing, depending on how far our technology's evolved. Like it used to be copper and coal we were digging out of the ground. Now it's lithium. So we kind of consume, we're even called consumers, different things. Now, somebody said to me, what do I think about us being the aliens and the Earth is a bit like we used to use Australia for? We used to send all the shit there.
Yeah.
You know, all the people who've been bad, we used to send them to Australia. And we used to use it as like that. That was the prison that we used to send them to. Where, what do you think if somebody said, well, Earth's the prison and we're the shit that got sent there because we're the ones who just consume the planet and we're the aliens and we actually didn't start off on this planet. Our race, our species is not of this planet originally. What's your thoughts on that?
Let's give that one to Johnny and Paul.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of like talk about. I mean, there's the Zachariah Sitchin theory, isn't there? There's the messing with our DNA and tinkering with it and things like that. You know, with the Sumerian tablets. I'm not sure if I believe all that, but you know, with Plant Nibiru and you know, coming up on our planet and you know, and moving our DNA and changing it to what we are now, and you know all that. But I don't know. I think we are in harmony, but we should be in harmony, should I say? But we've been conditioned over God knows when to believe that we're not to be in harmony. So we are now not in harmony because that's how we've been conditioned to be. And I think what it's been meant for is that because we're not in or perceived to be in harmony with the planet, they can put things on us. They can say, well, you know, everything's your fault. This is your fault, and we're not going to. On the whole, people are not going to complain about that because most people say, oh well, yeah, you know, we are destroying the planet, so we'll go with that. You know, it's kind of developed, and it's now I think it's been used against us.
Yeah,
that's part of my take anyway.
Good thought. What about you, Bernie?
I go along a lot with that. We're talking about the last 200 years, the Industrial Revolution, since we started ripping this whole thing apart.
Yep.
You know, we're mining it to death, aren't we? Pollution. We're polluting the planet. We can all take responsibility for that. But we live in it's about the oil, isn't it? It's petro dollar. That's what's driven this whole destruction of the planet. It doesn't take a genius to work that out. And anybody who says any different, if you were a socialist or you're a communist country, then just look what's happened to them over the last 50 years. They get destroyed, don't they? You know, they're an enemy of the state because they try to break the status quo. That's it. So, like Johnny said, I don't think we are. It's not human beings, because the kids nowadays they're really trying to pull the plug, aren't they, and think that we've sent them down the river, and we have to an extent, because it's been a throwaway society, hasn't it? There comes a point where you can't keep throwing it away. Somebody has to take responsibility, but that has to start at the very top. And while the people at the top are making money and selling fuel and starting these stupid wars, right, and then having us divide and rule, because it's all about divide and rule. I don't think, like I said, human beings are good. Did we originate on this planet? Maybe not. Maybe this is just this old Earth is an experiment, you know. It's a greenhouse. And we get started and then we destroy ourselves and then we start again on another planet. That's, you know, we're just an experiment. Evolution doesn't make any sense to me.
Me neither.
We came out of this primordial swamp, we were monkeys, and all of a sudden the first fella did this, and then let's put a shirt and tie on, and here we are, boom. It's a crock of shite for me, that. So.
Well, when I was at school, I mean, I'm always saying that they taught us a lot of theories, and I can remember going from a history lesson into a geography lesson into an RE lesson, and I was taught 3 fucking completely different things about the same period in time, and I can remember going home and my mum saying, "Been doing it at school today?" And again, don't know, I can't get my head around it. Because it doesn't make any sense to me.
Ah.
You know,
well, even now it's the theory of evolution, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was always the theory of evolution.
Mm.
But before that, it was, I can't remember, before Darwin's theory, it was they were preaching something else, weren't they? I can't remember.
Just completely. I think really they were using religion to keep everybody dumbed down.
That's right.
And then when a lot of people ended up going, hang on a minute, it's a load of bollocks. They needed something else then. Right,
Yeah,
here's
the
this
Earth was the
Darwin
centre of
guy.
the
Here we
universe,
go.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
I don't know
Jason.
I don't know when you talk about religion. I don't know if we turned us back on religion per se, but I think we were manipulated to turn us back on religion, to turn back on faith and stuff like that, and which is probably why there's an attack on Islam at the moment, because people tend to be more religious. People from there tend to be more religious. Muslims, you know, they even ones that perhaps don't go to the prayers every Friday, or you know, the ones that sometimes they will observe Ramadan and things like that, you know, and they've also got a huge family ethic as well. There'll be many generations living in the same house, you know. And they don't like that. So I don't know whether we naturally went away from religion, or whether we were manipulated to do so. It as all part of this plan that seems to have been going on for a couple of 100 years, well, at least 100 years anyway, hasn't it? Because
yeah.
You talk about when Titanic sank. I mean, the bankers on board that was the start of everybody who was against the Federal Reserve Act coming into place was on the Titanic.
Right.
So that's really when the Federal Reserve Act came in 1913. So the following year, when all the opposition to it had been got rid of, they were able to get the Federal Reserve into place, and then start off with the system that we've got now. Anyway, listen, we're getting towards half time. Let's take a little bit of a break. I'll play a record, and we'll have the second half. You're listening to Raconteurs News. You're watching us as well. We've got Paul Northridge. Is it Johnny Sinclair? I'm hoping it's Johnny Sinclair.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah,
it is Johnny Sinclair, Paul Northridge, and Birmingham Bernie with us on Raconteurs News from Unite Planet. Find it on Facebook, give them a like, and have a look at some of the interviews and stuff that they've done on there as well. We'll get into a few of those in the second hour and talk about some of the interviews that they've done and things that they've found into. We'll get into all sorts of stuff in the second hour. I'm just going to play a record, so if you can mute your mics, guys, and I shall. We should be back in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Let me pop it on to studio mode. And we'll see you in a bit.
I'm gonna have some fun with this one here. Woo-hoo! In the morning, when I wake up, all I want is Mary Joanna. In the evening, when I'm thinking, all I want is Mary Joanna. If you look in my eyes, you'll see what I've done. Every minute, every hour of every day. But life is like a smoke. In the end, I'm gonna choke. So all I do is live my life from day to day. Oh my God, you know you better watch yourself, because I know you're waiting on that one. Cause I'm telling you, cause you know the one I said, take off for a run. You let me see you do that run. Run and the one that they clan and the one that done. Cause I know you cannot be me now, what you wanna do. Cause I'm about to break it down, me, cause that's only cause you know you cannot feed me now, that you want now. You better back it on now, because I'm telling you, what wonder. Because you love you like the way you put that pick up. Cause I'm telling all your fools what I put up. And in a mercy. Now what you wanna do? And in a mercy. Now what you wanna do? And in a mercy. Now what you wanna do? And in a mercy. If you look in my eyes, you will see what I've done. Every minute, every hour of every day. But life is like a smoke. In the end, I'm gonna choke. So all I do is live my life from day to day. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crease it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, poke it, roach it, smoke it, then you pass it to me. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crease it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, poke it, roach it, smoke it, then you pass it to me. Come on, baby girl, let's get it going on. I'ma hit the highway and do it my way. It ain't no game, girl, so I don't play games. I keep it up straight, right up in your face. So make your mind up, cause life is too short. I got the best on, boy, put your belt on. Stop acting all cool like Kanye West, boy. You be riding through the wire and the camera get on fire. You don't want that, no, I don't want that, no. This goes out to pimps and chicks, so slow. Hit the backseat when you're doing the licking, kissing, squeezing. Do the damn thing, man. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crash it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, on it, roach it, smoke, marriage, your ass to me. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crash it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, on it, roach it, smoke, marriage, your ass to me. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crash it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, on it, roach it, smoke, marriage, your ass to me. You got to lick it, stick it, bend it, crash it, stack it, burn it, pack it, roll it, on it, roach it, smoke, marriage, your ass to me.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News on this Monday evening. It's the 13th of May 2019, and it's me, Jason Holmes. I can report that during that break, Watson farted. A little git came over to me, and he just came over. I think he came over to lick my hand and get stroked and stuff, and he farted. I think that's all he came for. But thank you for that, Watson, and thank you to Heath for the song as well. Marijuana 2016. That's 3 years since he wrote that. And well, I think it's about 5 because that were 2016 version. I know there were a couple of versions before. Anyway, we've got Unite Planet folk patrons, Paul, Johnny, and Bernie with us. Now, you said at the beginning of the show that you said there were 4 of you now, but so who's missing?
Donna is missing. She's a 4th member. We thought we'd have a female perspective in the group. Yeah, she couldn't make it today. I can't remember why.
I think it's work.
I think we're more work related. Yeah. So yeah, there is 4 of us. So 4 of us now, each with our own, little angles, but all on the same page. So it all works beautifully together. So it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now, Bernie, I noticed you've changed devices. Now,
I have, yeah.
Does this mean now that the guys can hear you? Shall we do a test? You start talking.
Yeah, you know that Paul and Johnny.
Yeah.
You know them, yeah?
No.
Still can't hear them.
Oh, they can hear me. Can you hear me? No.
We can hear you, but I don't think Johnny and Paul can.
I think what it is, maybe we're on the same line.
We've got.
Unite.
We're listening to it on the mobile phone, but it's like got a delay on it.
You're using the same account, aren't you? You're both using the same account. That's why you can't hear each other. You need one of you needs to use a different account.
That's probably why, yeah.
That is the reason why. If you're on the same account,
yeah,
you won't be able to. One of you won't be able to hear the other.
Okay, that's fine.
I've only got a different account.
Well, no,
I'll change
Bernie
mine
has.
then. Okay, I'll change mine.
Go on then.
Has Bernie got a different account?
Bernie, we can see straight up your nose when you do that.
Up your nosebleed.
Nosebleed.
Let's just say,
I wanted to ask you, have you been finding social media this? Like I was reporting last week when we were on that we've on one of my YouTube channels, I've lost 66% of the traffic has just disappeared since these new algorithms came in April, and on Raconteurs News we've lost 33% of our revenue, not of our revenue, of our traffic, the amount of views and the viewing time that we're getting. What's it been like for yourselves?
Well, we've had with subscribers, we've lost some and gained some, haven't we? So sometimes I think it does like cut some out of the subscribers, and we've had like what do you call it, like one of our videos, haven't we?
Yeah, but it's been banned.
Like a stroke, a mark against
hate speech. He's a horrible guy.
I've got hate speech.
You hate speech, you bastard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was just a video on. I think it was because it was about Tommy Robinson, and I think that's why, and it kind of like I think just because of it was that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, he just said some horrible things about Tommy. I didn't know, really. I was just, explaining a bit from my take, our plant's take, really, of we think is a used,
yes,
that's it.
An asset basically, and he's been promoted as this alternative right wing speaker, and is just there to divide again, and so the video got a bit of a mark, but we've in response to that, I've kind of like contacted YouTube, but they've not got back to me. Obviously, I've kind of tried to revoke it, but they're not interested. But we've got our videos on BitChute as well. BitChute.
Yeah.
So we've got an alternative place for our videos, just in case they want to, they might, because you never know with YouTube. You hear about them, cutting down on a lot of alternative. Knowledge and information. So
it was Jason that pointed it out to me. I didn't realize, but apparently these algorithms, if you're talking about anything slightly conspiratory or just say it's not the sort of stuff that you would hear on mainstream, it's just not getting suggested for you to look at, listen to, or I mean, my view is fuck them. I'll say what I fucking like, I'll insult who I fucking like, and I don't give a bollocks.
Yeah,
but I mean, a lot of people don't agree with me with this, but I think every race, colour, religion, sexuality, size, shape, hair colour, skin colour should all be up for being taken the piss out of.
Yeah.
Because the minute that somebody says, oh, you can't say that because somebody might be offended. Well, fuck off if you're offended. I don't really give a bollocks. Because the minute you stop somebody saying something, who decides what's to be stopped?
Exactly. It becomes a dictatorship.
That's the issue. Who decides what's to be stopped?
Exactly.
Because it's going to be a government, and it ain't going to be for the right reasons. And one of my mates said to me over the weekend, I ain't seen Neil for probably a couple of years. We've spoken probably every couple of months. And he's just been to the States and he brought me back a T-shirt. So I nipped up to his house to fetch it. And he doesn't think like us, a little bit maybe, but not like us. And he said to me, the trouble is, everybody wants to be a victim because during the war, everybody stuck together. Just after the war, we're going to make Britain great again. We're going to build it up again. And that went on for 2 or 3 generations. Now, everybody just says, oh, I'm offended. Well, they're just a fucking race of offended wankers. If you want to be offended, fuck off. Be offended somewhere else.
I think
that's all. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do as well is put us in a small box as possible. So then there's more infighting. We can fight. So that's what it is. It's all designed so we look at parts of humanity that we shouldn't be fighting over, So it's boxing us down as small as possible, so we keep fighting, and it's ridiculous, And every opinion, You know,
think it's
every
trying to
opinion
give
should be out
people as
there.
many.
You're sorry.
It's just trying to give people as many reasons
Yeah.
to not even talk to people like me and you, but
Oh,
to
yes,
make sure
yeah.
that they
Yeah.
watch Jeremy Kyle and then watch the news after it. You know.
Not
By the way,
anymore.
watch Jeremy
Divide
Kyle
and
then
rule.
also.
Never good.
Bernie, go on. You're back. Are you on a different account?
No,
Oh,
I
right.
tried.
Oh,
but I
no.
didn't have,
Still got
I
him.
didn't have your contact details for my account, so I couldn't ring you back. So hence I'm back on the Unite.
Right.
But have you got an email address for that account? And I will send you an invite.
Yeah.
Go on then.
We will get
There
there.
it is. It's
Birmingham Bernie, who rises at 10:30.
Every day.
what's me freaking
Type it in the room if you're bothered.
no, right, it's all lowercase.
You get all the family on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Mick Emerson, MICKEMMERSON 36 at gmail.com.
Hey,
Has he just nicked
Mick,
Mick's phone?
I've got as far as Mick.
Yeah. Emerson.
Mick Emerson, EMMERSON.
Yep. 36 at gmail.com.
Uh-oh.
Gmail.
All right. Everybody, calm down. Everybody, calm down.
This is
Mick
all
Emerson.
Good radio, this.
There you go.
Don't this make good radio, this?
For you to come
Kimberly.
on. And then the boys might be able to hear you for the last 3/4 of an hour.
Let's hope. Make it a bit more like smooth running.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about, for example, social media, YouTube, even like you start typing UFOs, you end up like CNN or BBC.
Yeah,
it's all like
Mainstream versions.
mainstream
versions.
versions.
Yeah.
And then you have like second page is like ours kind of stuff, or third page.
Yeah.
How many people click on a second page?
It's same with Google search, isn't it? It's same. You put in anything you want, say UFOs, and it's fourth or fifth page sometimes.
Well, we're fake news. Let's be honest.
We are fake news. I've been accused of being fake news. You're fake news, man. You're fake news. You're fake news. You're a cunt. You're a fucker. Here we go. Enjoying this conversation now.
Mick Bernie, say something. Mick Bernie, Mick.
I'm here. How's that working? Are we cooking?
Not quite. Something like.
Can you two not hear him?
No.
Come on, lads. Fuck's sake.
What? Oh.
Don't
I'm on
worry.
a different account now, aren't I?
We're just going to have to bumble through it, aren't we?
Should we go back in again? Go out and in, says Bishop.
You can do. Yeah. Try that.
Yeah.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Right. Talk to Bernie for a while.
Right. What we need to do now is talk about Johnny and Paul behind the backs.
Yeah, that's easily done. What do you want to know?
I can't fucking work out, me. Come on, you all right?
No, they're good lads, actually.
What were you going to say?
I don't know. I can't remember. So, Bernie,
Yeah.
you seem to be the outspoken one. I feel that you and I would get on great. Because I just call a spade a fucking shovel. But and I think the reason I'm a bit more in your face is because we've gone past the point now where you've got to gently try and wake somebody. I hate the thought, but the words even make me teeth grind. But using the words waking up, we can't be gentle about it anymore. You've got to find something that just relates to that one person and hit them with it hard.
Yeah. Right. For me, I did that approach, and I think it alienates people. So for me, how I understand it now, it's just about planting seeds. Not everything resonates. You start talking about, whatever, Brexit. You've lost half the conversation with half the people because we're dividing rules straight away. So I try not to. I can't control that stuff. So I've always been one that don't worry about the stuff you can't change. Worry about the things you can. And I try to live my life like that. I don't stress about shit that I can't control. I don't worry about dying because we're all going to die. Do I want a long, painful, lingering death? No, of course I don't. But I understand we're here, so I'm going to experience this reality. But what I do know is it's just about love. You've got to have compassion for each other. I'm not saying I don't get angry in the van and I don't threaten people and all the rest of it. I'm a human being. I'm not Buddha, but try to let shit slide if I can help it, because you're wasting your energy on it. I like to call people out if I think they're full of shit, but they pretend to be something. But that's every politician, you know. They ain't doing what it says on the tin. But where's the alternative? Who are the alternative? You know, if there was a decent man who says, I'll lead this country into something, he'll never make it, you know. Look what happened to Kennedy. He's the last fella that actually stood up against it. Everyone's in everybody's in their pocket, right? Whatever happens in America, we follow their lead, right? They've got all sides totally sewn up. So it needs a revolution, but everybody sat on the settee and they're all, even the poor are fat, you know. Nobody's interested. Even if the poorest have got a sky dish, that was the joke, wasn't it? You know, it's the truth. Who's going to get up? If you march on Downing Street, you know, half the country are slagging you because it's about Tommy Robinson and he's got some. It doesn't resonate with me. If everybody could just go unite and let's turn this whole thing upside down, right?
I think
you pay your road tax, don't you? If it went on the roads, sound. If you're paying tax, if you actually thought it was a fair system, right, and they were shaking the tree at the top, but they ain't. They'll chase me and you down the road for the rest of your life for 400 quid or something, but they won't chase Amazon for 400 billion or whatever for 400 million.
Yeah,
the whole thing's rigged, but most people are so terrified because they don't understand. You see this. What's the one? Can't pay, will take it away. The whole thing's by design, right? If you want to understand any concept of common law, once you start to get it, don't open the door. Don't open the door. Don't engage with them. Don't chat to them. When you get a parking fine on the amount of people I tell when they get a ticket from private land, I said, tell them to fuck off.
Just send it back. Fuck off.
Stick them in the bin. Don't acknowledge. Don't ring them up. Don't enter into a contract with them. Just basics. Don't answer the door. Don't even reply. Just wipe your ass with it. Throw it in the bin. Right. But so many people, whatever the telly tells you is the truth. My government wouldn't lie to me. The news ain't gonna lie. It's a freaking game. You might as well react to EastEnders as react to the 6 o'clock news. Once you get that, it's the same with the doctors, right? Where's the people are screaming for a different alternative to the cancer treatments of chemo and radiotherapy. We know they exist because there's fellas out there that have proven, right? Same with the cannabis oil. Where was it 30 years ago? What they're bringing it out now, but they've legalized it for X amount of years. Look at all them lads that are in jail for doing it. For what? For trying to save people's lives. The whole thing is run by lunatics, and we just happily pay and we go to work and we kill ourselves at work, trying to get to the end of the life so we can get a pension, which will tax you again on anyway. And if you want your money out, they're going to take 30% off you. It's a fucking joke, man. Fuck them.
I'd vote for you.
Isn't it?
I don't think
you're trying
to be here.
That's it in a nutshell, you know.
Anything to add to that, boys?
Well, I think that's. I mean, what they're trying to do, they like pushes into fear. You know, if when you place people into fear, then the options you get, or you think you get, are limited because when you're trapped in that spectrum of fear, that's how they get you. They get you that all the time. This is what this is all about. And I mean, the whole the common law. This is what they do to trap us as well. They create a legal fiction. you know, and that most people are not aware of that. They will not check it out, or they'll, like you say, they'll believe the media. They'll believe them, that this is just part of life. That this duping that we're getting is just part of life. People don't look at it. Instead, we're distracted by consumerism. You know, we want a bigger telly. We want the most best phone with the best camera, and you know, and I mean, I love football and everything, but they'll bombard us with things like, you know, the Premiership and football. We've got to watch football. You know, we put up, you know, nail our flag to a football team, and that becomes so important. We're getting distracted by things of non-importance, so it keeps us away from looking at the real issues. You know, and just to add to Bernie, you know, that's our at the time with what Bernie was saying. This is what's happening, you know, and it is a massive game. It's a big game. It's all rigged, and people are just not opening the curtains to it and looking. They're being distracted. We're looking over here instead of looking here.
The point you made about fear, I mean, that is exactly it.
Yeah.
It's fear on the TV. So you got, like you said, you got these programs like Can't Pay, We'll Take It Away.
Yeah,
that
exactly,
is fear into you, and then that is confounded because, you know, you're watching the news and it says that so many jobs at perhaps a company that you work for or a government department are going to go, and you're worried about your job. Then you're thinking, well, then there's next thing, it says mortgage rates are going to go up.
Yeah.
And people then and then it's fear on top of fear and on top of fear and on top of fear, and you cannot really blame somebody, especially people who are, because not everyone's confident, you know, not everyone's confident enough. You know how you say closed door, and that's what I do. I just open the door and then I shut it. In fact, I entertained some Jovos at my door on Saturday. And he's coming back in a couple of weeks after I've read these leaflets. But anyway, you can
sing to him.
You shut the door and you go away. But that fear is instilled in people. And the letters, the language they put in the letters, you get people are afraid for postman. Someone will deliver a piece of paper through the door, and people are sat there shivering with fear because they've got an idea of what's coming, or they know what's coming, or they've not been able to make this payment, or they've not been able to make that payment, and the council tax, and then the bailiffs turn up straight away before you know, they miss one payment and a bailiff comes around. Bailiffs don't come here anymore. They know they're not going to get anywhere, but they'll pick the person that they're going to get, that's going to, you know, that's perhaps not been on their radar before. And then you get that, and then is it really? You can't really blame people for when that fear is put on top of them. You can't really blame people for reframing that and trying to reframe that into such a way that allows them to get to sleep at night. You know, what they do is they're in a load of debt, and then along comes an organisation that's going to get you out of debt. It's not. It's just going to make sure that you continue to make those payments and keep the wheels of the system going. That's all it's there. That's all they're designed for. They're not there to help you at all. They are just designed to stop you from creeping outside of the system and looking for another way. Because when people get desperate, and this is why the crackdown on social media is so important as well, because people get desperate and they look on social media and places and they search for things, for solutions, and perhaps before something would have come up that would have been what we'd call alternative, or, you know, what, a bailiff's page or something like that with some good information that could get them out of it. But yet, you know, that's gone. That little escape route for them is gone, and so that it's just like you say, it's a huge game, and and I've gone on far too long.
You see, with Jason and I only disagree about one thing. My view is, just ignore these fuckers out of existence. You know the politicians. Just ignore them. Just don't vote for them. Don't talk to them. Don't. What are they going to do then?
Yeah, it's fake power at the end of the day. Yeah,
it's just gone, because the power that they hold is only in between your ears.
That's right.
Government isn't even real. Whereas Jason would say, "Fuck that. Let's all go down to Westminster and drag them out by the fucking ears." And that's the only way that Jason and I really disagree. I mean, and it was Jason that woke me up to all this stuff. But you know, I've threatened to arrest coppers, and they're fucked off. You know, Jason and I have stood in court together, laughing at a clerk who's just dismissed magistrates, and then she's walked out after him because he said he was going to bring a private prosecution against her. You know, most of my customers don't have a TV license because I've written all the letters and done it all for them, and they've all got the removal of implied right of access stuck on the front window. Fuck you off, go away. You know, and I do this for my customers. I've had my customers who have got a so-called bill for shifting a load of rubbish out of a garden they used to of a house they used to live at, and they've sent them a bill for like 600 quid. Well, give me that letter, I'll sort that out for you. Come on, let's get. And they don't believe you, and then, you know, 3 months later when it's all gone away, they just think maybe he's not an utter. You know, and it's because we're all conditioned. But something else I realized not so long ago. I go around a lot of council estates and I meet a lot of people who would self-describe as thick. No, I went to school and I don't get any of that. It just means no to me. I don't understand. That's why I watch EastEnders. That I think is two things. One, it's by design. The system is supposed to make them stupid.
Yeah.
But my other thought recently, when I was talking to one girl, because I was saying a few things to her, and she got it, one after the other, one after the other. And I thought, maybe this system is supposed to not make any sense to her. So that when they stood at the front of the class saying, you know, all this is true on this blackboard, and she sat there going, really? That doesn't make any sense to me. So 12 years later, when she leaves school, she thinks she's thick. When actually, she's actually quite intelligent. It's just that her natural brain realized it was a load of bullshit, and that's why her brain couldn't make head or tail of what they were trying to teach her. And I think it's both sides of that. You know, some people, you know, don't get school because it's not logical to the way their brain's wired up, and other people don't get school because you're not fucking supposed to.
Yeah.
But as an adult, you have to take some. You have to have personal responsibility, don't you?
Oh, without a doubt.
I never got. I wore the amount of slippers they used to whack at my ass with every day, right? I spent most of me. I thought I was a freaking stray puppy. I was in isolation that often, right? And then I'd get belted at home. So I thought I was an idiot. I'm self-taught since I've been 16. Because what it was is I was in conversations. I was in conversations with people, and I didn't know what they were talking about, and I felt I need to learn. So what I've done is I was listening at school, but it just wasn't sinking in. But then later on, whether it was a quiz I was watching on television, I'd cross-reference with what I remembered, and I tied it in, and somehow all my neurons joined together. Now, whoever I meet, I can have a conversation with anybody. Not that, because I've got a bit of knowledge about everything. You know, so that's how I get by. You know, I'm not a master of anything, but I've got an insight to everything. You know, so you have to take personal responsibility. So these people, yeah, it is by design that they're kept in these council estates. They're kept poor. They're kept. The thing is, but it comes back to your government again. If you wanted a healthy, happy citizenship, all the decent food, it'd be cheap, wouldn't it? And the fast food would be expensive. But it's not. The idea is to get you morbidly obese or diabetic, or, you know, it's about keeping us ill and keeping us stupid, innit? And giving the masses what they want, and what they want is cheap, shitty food, cheap alcohol, and Sky TV. It is, isn't it? You know, and keep them in that television for 5-6 hours a night and fill them with shit.
Yeah.
And that everything you say, well, we're all, whoever we talk to, half of them look at you like, oh, what are you talking about? Because they haven't let go of this whole thing. Because I think the telly didn't tell them.
The one thing that tells me about somebody when I've got my neighbours and they'll say, what's that notice on your door? And I went, well, it first went up because I don't engage with the TV licensing people. And they go, what? You haven't got a telly license? I go, no. Why would you want to pay that? You know, they're the people who employed Jimmy Savile, for fuck's sake. You know, and do you want me to pay him to sit in the corner of my front room to tell me a load of fucking lies at 6 o'clock every night? I don't think so. And they go, how do you get away with not paying that? Well, it's dead easy. I wrote my letter and told them to fuck off. That was it, really. That's what I did, and they never did. They never come.
Yeah,
it's an easy one, telly license. It's an easy start for people, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not an easy one. If someone just comes and knocks on your door, you'll be prepared for that person to come and knock on your door. Have a look through the window to see who it is. Even because they usually come round at night because they think you're watching telly. Yeah. Shout through the door and ask who it is, and they said TV licensing, and you just say no thanks, and that's it.
I had a customer ring me and he said, I've got this fine thing from TV licensing. I went, what happened? He said, well, a few months ago this woman come round and our last let her in and she flicked through all the telly channels on our telly. The next thing we know, we've got this letter that's come, so we ignored that. We ignored about 3 or 4 more letters. Then apparently they sent us this letter saying we've been to court, and now they've sent us this thing saying that, including all the court costs and the bailiff's costs, it's about 500 or 600 quid or something. What shall I do? And I went, you needed to be asking me that question fucking 6 months ago. What you should do now is pay the fucker and stop annoying me. Because what you should have done is not let the fucking silly cow in the first place.
Yeah. Don't engage with them, man. Don't engage with them. Fuck them. Yeah. It is. It's that simple. Keep your door shut. Stop opening your door to everybody. Don't vocalise. Don't enter a contract with anybody. They want money off you. They've got no rights. They can't get in your house. They only get in your house when you open the door and you have a conversation, and they put a foot in, and then they've got the right of access, haven't they? Is that how it works, Ed?
No, they've got to get peaceable entry. So if you have to smash his fucking head in when he's trying to get in the door, well, you know, that's not peaceable, is it? It's up to him. Anybody can try and get into my house.
Just put a sign on your door saying, anybody that I don't want to talk to is going to get covered in piss. Because there's a window just above our front door, so I'd easily have to get some, and I've always got a bottle of piss handy. So, you know, it's one of them staples of life. You need it, don't you? You're going about your daily business. You never know when you're going to need a bottle of piss. You never do. Yeah, so little things like that, innit? I mean, we're here. We're saying that there are things that you can do that are pretty simple, that are not. That builds up your confidence, and you know what they say about confidence. It's the food of the wise man and the liquor of the fool. So just make sure you keep your confidence in check, and that you know what you're doing. But it's great to be confident, because if you're confident with somebody, you just go no. They don't. They just don't want to. They don't want to know. They don't want to get confrontational with you because they don't get paid enough to get a smacking chops, and they don't know what you're going to do. You know. So it's just nice and easy. You don't have to be nasty. You can tell them to fuck off. It's quite funny if you want to tell them to fuck off and get it on camera or something, and you get a response. But you know, you don't have to. It's not everybody wants to do that. You just want to be left alone, don't you? That's the thing. You just want to be left alone, and it seems like it's an impossibility. What do you reckon? It's just so good to get away from it all, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, totally. I mean, another thing is people get they get confounded by the legal language as well, and the legalese. You know, people get the letter, and you know, it's like, you know, they don't understand the legal language, and that gets them in as well. There's things that are there that we can teach ourselves as well. We can learn. It's all out there. And if you just take the information from mainstream sources, everything's going to seem complicated. It's only when you go outside of that, then you see, hang on, it's not really that complicated. The answers are here, you know.
Well, Paul, you know, when I get people who say to me, oh, it's too complicated, I don't understand it, there's a dead easy reason why you don't understand it. You're not supposed to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Common law
By
is
design,
common
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Common law is common sense.
Yeah.
Death, harm, loss, breach of the peace.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody says, "What's your name?"
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding,
That's
ding.
it,
Time
yeah.
to shut the fuck up. And that's it.
That's the
Just
contract,
shut up.
isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Engaging in it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, how I ever ended up thinking like this, I don't know, because my sister's worked for the bank for, got to be coming up 40 years. And my brother was a copper for all of his life. And his wife is. So how the fucking hell I end up like this, God knows. But
And you like what you do.
it, I think just the ability to be able to think for myself. And if something don't seem right, that's because it's your gut feeling telling you.
Always trust your gut.
Yeah. Intuition, powerful thing. Yeah.
What
Don't trust your gut.
boy? I just want to get to try and we've got about 25 minutes left, but I wanted to what stuff you got planned? Have you got anything planned? Is there any? I know we were talking before that you wanted to do get some stuff together. Have you got anything planned?
Well, we'll start with your go on, Paul.
Well, I'm promoting my book.
Okay.
My autobiography.
Fucking up, going to rename him David Icke. Not got a book out of you, Dave.
One good foot. One good foot. It's called.
One good foot. Oi, enough of that.
What's it called?
One
It's
good
called,
foot.
Walk of Life, Feet on the Ground.
Okay.
On Amazon mainly.
Autobiography.
It's sort of my about my life.
Yes.
It's not that interesting.
Well, give us a brief indication. I mean, what about your life? What made you feel like you needed to
He dies in the end.
words?
He dies in the end.
You're giving
Well,
away
he
the
dies in the
ending.
middle, actually. He
Really?
dies again in the end.
Well, yeah, I died a few times already, actually. It's true. It's true. I had a near-death experience at 14, so that's in the book, and just about me living as I got spina bifida, so just things about that. Bit of humour in there as well, and just basically experiences, just life experiences like we all have. So, but I try to do with a lot of humour.
I died in January.
It's a good read.
You had a near-death experience.
Yeah, no, I died. They killed me for about 5 minutes and brought me back again. I had in the past year, I've had two different heart operations and they're called an ablation, and then I had a cardioversion. And a cardioversion is where they stop your heart and then start it again to get you back into a normal rhythm.
Okay. Yeah. And did you experience anything in that time?
Yeah, it just went fucking black, and then a few minutes later, this bloke said, "How you feeling?" I went, "Can I have a cup of tea and go home now?" that was my near-death experience. So it just went fucking dark.
So, what sort of form did your near-death experience? I know we don't want to spoil the book for anybody that's going to go onto Amazon right after they've been listening to this show tonight, and order it. But what sort of form did it take? Were it a spiritual thing, or was it something a memory, or
yeah, very spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, at 14, I was more based on Catholic. But I started to like drift away, getting towards like 14. I started to go away from Catholic side of things anyway. But after near-death experience, I completely forgot about Catholic stuff, really much here, and more about love. That's what this is all about, really. This is why Planet is happening as well, because I kind of believe that we should be uniting and more loving to each other, and so yeah, more spiritual, definitely.
So what you need is a Volkswagen camper van and a big fluffy dress and some flowers in your hair. That's what we need.
That's it.
More VW camper vans.
Yeah.
No, just getting back to the near-death experience thing. My mum's family background is Catholic because they were Gypsy, Romany Gypsy. My mum now goes to a spiritualist church. Neither me and my brother nor my sister bother with church. It's not something that I've kind of ever connected with, really. But when my mum said to me, if you die, will you come back and haunt me so that I know there's something definitely there? And I went, yeah, of course I will. And it's kind of a comical agreement that me and my mum have got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, she's 80-ish. Mad as a box of frogs. Still got a driving license. Shouldn't have, usual. Anyway, she said to me, when they stopped you out and restarted it again? And I said, no, but I didn't expect anything like that because I weren't brain dead. They'd just stopped my pump for a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started my pump off again. It wasn't a brain death. It wasn't anything like that.
Okay.
They actually gave me some sedation. I didn't black out because my heart had stopped. They gave me some sedation.
Mm-hmm. Then
they did the thing with my heart, put a big pad on the front and a pad on the back and did whatever they do, switched me off for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought me back and they gave me an antidote to the sedation to make me wake up.
Right.
So it wasn't like I'd lights off, lights back on again.
Yeah.
So if anybody says to me, oh, I've had this near-death spiritual, but even though technically I've died and come back again, I'd be completely open to hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think what I experienced was a near-death. They just switched me off for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mine was like a reactant to a muscle relaxant. I basically, my heart stopped and it as well. But it wasn't planned. And so and like I say, 14 I never even heard of a near-death experience, and then 20-something I heard other people talking about it, and I thought, oh, okay, similar things to what I saw. So I think there's definitely patterns.
We ate it. It was just a case of turning him off and turning him back on again.
No. Like a knackered computer.
Yeah. I just got it. What do they call it in America? Cycling. Yeah. They just cycled me out and switched me off again, yeah.
I think that's another thing, man. Oh, that advert on telly for cycling, where what you do is you're in your own car and you're on your own bike. I
want to punch that woman.
And you're paying for somebody to be on an iPad telling you to fucking pedal faster. It's what you're paying us. Why? What for? You've got your bike. You've got your body. I'm assuming. And why are you paying somebody to? I don't know.
I can't wait till some poor bastard has an heart attack doing that, and they fucking sue him for it.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. Yeah.
It probably will, yeah. Anyway, from that was an aside. Ray, we've got that 15 or 17, 18 minutes left. How do you want to finish up, guys? Anything that you want to bring up, or
there's more things to do, aren't there? I mean, to link in with the near-death experience and Paul's book, we just recorded, a week or so back, an interview with Penny Satori. I don't know if you're familiar with her work, Dr. Penny Satori. She looks into near-death experiences, and she had a lot of patients that had encountered these kind of experiences. So she's done a lot of work into that. Very interesting. Very interesting.
She was working on the ICU, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people coming back around saying, I saw this and this happened. So she started, and she's been doing it 15, 20 years now, hasn't she? Investigating.
That's interesting, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That might be, we'll have a look at that. So is that on Unite Planet Facebook page?
Not yet. It's we're in the process of editing that, aren't we? So that's
part one's going to be on this week anyway, definitely. But not.
You see, that's where we differ. We can't be fucking asked to edit anything, so ours just goes out.
And we were also coming up as well. We're in the process of editing. We interviewed Paul Hellyer, the Honourable Paul Hellyer. He used to be Defence Minister for Canada back in the during the Cold War, and that was an interesting conversation. So that's going to be up possibly about the first part is it's done actually. The first part we're just getting kind of confirmation from Paul it's all ready to go, and then that should be up hopefully by the end of the week as well. So
Johnny, tell us where people can find that, because they can find it on Unite Planet on Facebook.
Unite Planet on Facebook,
on YouTube, and then there was the other platform that you said you got.
BitChute as well.
Okay.
That as well. So there's that. We've got a couple more for videos, haven't we? We're all busy, aren't we?
Busy. Yeah.
We've got a couple of music ones, haven't we? You're doing
I'm doing a musical video, yeah. It's just basically my elderly rant about music these days. You know what kids are listening to. So I've got a 16-year-old, so I know it's painful for me.
Yeah.
Necessary.
I can't stand Sean Paul.
Yeah. Well, Jason and I are both ex-DJs, and I was a DJ for 30 years, and Jason about the same. You know, and we're both kind of despairing of.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I can't listen to the radio, and I don't think Jason can now either.
It's awful. Yeah. There's that, and have you gone?
Well, I could say just tripe. It's just
It is tripe. Yeah.
tuning.
Debased, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of chart music. But we've got another video. What? Sorry.
Shit, it's been compartmentalized. It's Simon
Definitely.
Cowell. It's a fix.
Yeah,
People they want to get into these positions, and it's only the people that are going to acquiesce to whatever they want to do. I mean, I saw the other day on Sky Sports News. It's Sky Sports News come on, and they were at this NBA game. It were a basketball game, and there's Beyonce sat there up front row, and she's like that.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's
Throwing
just
all the symbols out. Yeah.
By the way, I've just done that, so that still will be taken by somebody. And they'll say, "Look, it's the world order."
666, isn't it?
666.
I mean, this apparently this circle thing's a new thing, isn't it? There were an outcry because there were a guy, I think it were an American newscaster, and I think it's like supposed to be term. It's supposed to be associated with white power, and there was this black newscaster at a different sport. I don't know whether it were. I think it might have been basketball, but there was somebody in the crowd behind him. This guy's a black guy reporter, and there's a guy behind him in the crowd doing that. You know, doing that, and it seems to be. Anders Breivik did it as well.
Mm-hmm.
On trial.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah.
It's starting to sort of creep into and you know what will happen, don't you? You'll get people doing it everywhere. That's what they do. People see things and they copy, and they don't know what they're doing. And this is just going to be. There were quite an outcry over the one with the newscaster because he was a black guy, and this perceived hand gesture that is supposed to be related to white supremacy is going on in the background, and everyone went mad, you know, like they do. Everyone goes completely fucking balmy, you know, like Danny Baker with that thing. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Let's just go balmy about that. It's you know, but Israel's bombing Gaza at the moment, but nobody gives a fuck about that.
Exactly.
But Danny Baker put a picture. A really innocuous picture. Perhaps he shouldn't have done, but no, he could have just took it down and said, "Oops, sorry, I didn't realise." You know, the connotations of that, and that should be it. But it's not. It's everyone wants him sacked, and this is what I we're getting in. If people are wanting to get, you know, they want to end people's livelihoods. Simply,
it's like Ed said earlier. It's easy to be offended. Everybody wants to be offended by everything.
Yeah, it's a pity they weren't offended by fucking Jimmy Savile that quick, innit?
Yeah.
You know, and Esther Ranson running fucking Childline, and she knew what was going on with Savile. She's having a fucking laugh.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
these cunts all need fucking calling out, because I don't care what colour, religion, or whatever you are. Don't make it. If you're a cunt, you're a cunt.
It's true.
And it's irrelevant what your beliefs are, or your colour is, or what fucking hand gestures you want. If you're a cunt, you're a cunt.
That's right.
Hey, let's have a look in the chat room. We've got lots of people in there as well. Ron, Malcolm, Dinny's in there, making sure everyone's behaving themselves. Paula, thank you for. I saw that message that you put earlier on, Paula, and thank you for that. And it's my pleasure. Blah blah blah. The Pope holds all souls by bits of paper. I don't know what he means by that.
Who, the Pope?
Too quick. You what, Aid?
Was that the Pope?
The Pope, yeah. The Pope holds all souls by bits of paper.
Well, we understand that they wanted to change the age of consent in the Vatican to even younger, when the only people who live there is the Pope, the cardinals, and the fucking choir boys. Then tell me that there's something not going on there then.
Well, you know what the thing is, I'm waiting for the time when he'd say, and here's our new Pope, the new Emirates Pope, John Paul IV, or or whatever, because it's going to be. It's just everything's just taking. Corporations are taking over everything, aren't they? I mean, they took over football, the national game. They've realised the potential that they can have with that for the amount of money they can make from it. And all they've got to do is all they have to do, Sky, is add a little bit of glitz and glamour, make it more regular, and then saturated it everywhere. So now there's football on every night. I mean, even now, I think there's a game on tonight. Yeah, and listen, I'm guilty of this as well. I'm a season ticket holder at Sheffield Wednesday. I like the distraction, but I know that it's a distraction. Sorry,
as long as you know that, it's fine. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What did you say, Bernie?
Said you poor sod.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm Middlesbrough, so I can't.
You're what?
I'm Middlesbrough.
Well, you live in Birmingham. I thought you'd have been a Albion supporter.
No, I'm from Middlesbrough originally.
Right.
People do move about, Ada.
People have to move sometimes to work.
Yeah.
Or the ex-wife.
Yeah.
We were talking as well before. Well, we've got a couple of minutes left. You were on about you were hoping to put some sort of conference on and have some speakers and things like that. Have you got anywhere with that, or is it just an idea that you're kicking about? Is it just some blue sky thinking with chemtrails all over?
Without the chemtrails, possibly. But I suppose all we've got really is we've got the speakers, haven't we? We've got that's like the easiest bit. We can get speakers, no problem. But we've not really contacted any kind of location yet. It's just a thought at the moment. It's something.
We do have our annual camp, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
I'm talking about camping.
Yeah, Bernie.
We started it last year. We went. There was just 6 of us, wasn't there?
Yeah.
We had a couple of all interesting guys, and then Johnny and Paul come.
We spoiled you with that tent.
No. So this year we've got another one. We piggybacked on the back of this. It's called Conscious Tribal Gathering. It's like I won't say hippies, but it's for just free thinkers who don't buy into all the bullshit. Who everything we talked about, they've got half a handle on, and they grow their own veg or they're self-sufficient. And so our mate Luigi runs it. I think it's 45 quid for 5 nights, and if you can play an instrument, come along down. They've got a band on. You can sing. You can dance. They've got it. It's just a real cool thing.
And where's this at?
We can just meet. Llangollen. We've got a link on
Llangollen.
Llangollen.
No, Llangollen. Llangollen, different place to Llangollen.
Is it?
Yeah.
Llangollen, North Wales, I think. Or Mid Wales, is it?
Anyway, Wales, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wales.
Yeah.
It's in Wales.
August the 5th to August the 1st to the 5th. So we've got a link on our thing. It's basically there's 300 or 400 people there who are just cool. There's no ego. That's what we like. We like people with no ego. We like to have a crack on, but leave your fucking fancy watches at the door.
Yeah.
You mean things like that?
Yeah, shit like that, man. All like that one.
You are sorry.
You and your watches, AD. Chuffing. I can't wear one. They're evil. I had one once, right? I bought one off somebody. Some bloke who got loads of, and I thought, I'll just have one, and I just put it on. It only cost me a tenner or something like that. and I put it on. Now, bear in mind, I had two cars, and not one of them would start. I couldn't get any of them to start. I had a Nissan Terrano. It would not start. It kept, even though I'd corrected what were wrong with it before. And then I'd got as my backup, I got a Ford Escort. And the key was a bit worn and it wouldn't work. So I got rid of watch and then my Terrano started. There you go. Don't buy watches. They're evil. They're horrible. They'll
The universe telling you.
chuffing long time.
Can we mention Tommy Mayer? Free Tommy Mayer.
Yes, we can. Yes. In fact, I wanted to get free Tommy Mayer. Go on.
Free Tommy Mayer. He's in jail for murder of Joe Cox. What a crock of shit that is. Right. Never happened. Not the way that they're painting it anyway.
No.
There's so many holes in it. If anybody's really interested, Richard D. Hall has covered it in minute detail. Mark Conlon did a lot of the detective work. And
there may be an update as well.
And you watch it. If you watch it with an open mind, you will see it's an absolute. It's a work of fiction, isn't it? You know.
Definitely.
And the guy, he's sat in Franklin prison and he can't. He's got no right to reply. Nobody can contact him. His mother's terrified. Whoever has warned her off, or maybe she actually thinks he did it, but nobody. There's no go-between. So whether he's even aware of what's going, there's a lot of people who support him and are fully behind him, but.
They're not getting any press, are they? They're not getting any press, and I've seen that the Richard D. Hall. It is really in depth, and it leaves no stone unturned. And I know that there are people that will interpret it in their own way, but for me, the real compelling evidence was the walking evidence. I mean, that was the real compelling evidence, because being somebody, I've got prosthetic legs, so being somebody who's got a distinctive walk, I could certainly tell. And even before I had my leg amputated, I had a limp, so I could tell. The gait of the bloke that was walking away, the suspect that was walking away from the scene, that was not Tommy Mayer. Not in a 1,000 years. So there's thousands of other aspects to it as well. And Richard D. Hall does a good job. Yeah, I'll have to give him his dues. He does do in-depth investigations, and he manages to put them together in a way that is quite simple to follow. Yeah,
totally agree. And exposes the police as well, doesn't he? I mean, exactly what they are sometimes. Not all police, obviously, but it's a lot of people don't realise that the corruption level that there is in high-ranking police, and it filters down.
The reason it resonates with me is Tommy Mayer he's a gardener, local gardener.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a local window cleaner. I'm a local gardener. If they can pick him off the street and make him a patsy, they can make anybody a patsy. Right? That's the point I'm trying to make. Is any of us, we can all, tomorrow morning, I could be in handcuffs and he's a paedophile. We found all this on his computer. They can destroy you like that. You just got to be clued up. Know your enemy. That's it, isn't it? Know your enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's like you said, if they can do that to him, they can do it to anybody. And there's many cases of miscarriage of justice. I mean, we've had the people from the Jeremy Bamber campaign on this show, and I wrote to him, and they just sent me a letter back saying that they didn't think it were wise for me to be in contact with him. So that's just his mail's been kept away from him. It's all ridiculous, and that's another one. The Jeremy Bamber case. I wouldn't mind Richard D. Hall doing an expose on that, but obviously he's his own man, and he does his own thing. Right, well, guys, we're right at the very end of the show, so just give a plug to whatever you want to give a plug to before we have to say a bonjour.
Well, there's one last thing. We're going to the multidimensional show, aren't we? This Saturday coming. It's Rachel Murphy and David Bond. I think Bernie probably know more about this, but because it's his neck.
It's at the Mac. Yeah, it's at the Mac at Cannon Hill Park, Birmingham, Saturday. You can, if you want tickets, you can go onto the Multidimensional Show, find that on Facebook, and click the link, and you'll get tickets for that. They've got 4 speakers, haven't they? Michael Feely. It's basically all about the nature of reality, what this thing is. Are we living in the Matrix? Is it all a simulation? Got Anthony Peake. There's Anthony Peake, Guy Needham, Michael Feely, and I forget who the other one is. But 4 interesting
great
guys with a real good handle on. Especially Anthony Peake, he's got a lot of scientific supporting evidence.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot is conjecture with the others.
It's a very interesting subject, though, isn't it? The nature of reality. I mean, it's fundamental to how we cope with this life. I mean, when we were talking earlier on, I was going to make the suggestion that this is a training planet. We're being trained, and you have to, when you get to the end of your life, if you've done what, if you've been, despite all the temptations and things, if you've been true and you've been decent and you've passed, you've done enough, then you get to move on to the next one. But I think that's our whole other show. We'll probably do a show where we talk about the nature of reality. I've got a few ideas about that myself, and I'm sure Adie's got 1 or 2 ideas. So anyway, listen, thanks guys. Thank you very much, Johnny, Paul, and Birmingham Bernie.
Yes.
Thanks
for joining us tonight. Adie, one last final word from you, mate?
Yeah, I will be in Birmingham in a different dimension on Saturday, but sadly it's because I'm going on a 747.
Well, enjoy that, brother.
Oh yes, I will do.
There you go. We're going to have to squeeze a show in before then, Adie, so that we've got something to remember you by when that inevitably crashes on the way down, or perhaps when you get a bucket of water chucked off you, when you stuck up a ladyboy,
Yeah. There you go.
But anyway, listen, thanks very much for joining us, fellas.
Very well,
thank you.
Go to Unite Planet on Facebook, find it, and subscribe. Like or whatever you do. I mean, it's a fucking waste of time, but please do it, though, please. I'm sure our guests don't think that. So listen, look out for us. We'll be, we'll do another show this week. I don't know exactly when, but it's going to happen. So thanks for listening. Thanks to everyone who's contributed in the chat room. Cheers to Adie and to our guests. We'll see you again soon. Ta-ra a bit.